Welcome to the 90-day challenge of the vows of husbands and wives. I'm Pastor Sam Lewis. The most important roles that you will ever play in your life are the roles of husband, father, wife, and mother. In the book, Living That Matters, in the chapter on relational values, I've asked men and women to make some vows to each other and to their families. These vows, in effect, encompass a description of the roles of husband, father, wife, and mother. The 90-day challenge is a kickstarter toward living out those vows in God's design. Now, to fully understand the 90-day challenge, there's some background things that I'd like for you to know. One of the great challenges that I've faced in dealing with families with problems in their marriage is getting them to understand that I'm not doing marriage counseling, at least not as they've come to understand it. I'm not trying to fix their problems. I want to teach them how to live by God's design, because I believe that all of the problems and issues that they face are a result of not living by God's design. Further, I believe that the difficulties that we all face from not living by God's design can be divided into three types of issues: spiritual issues, personal issues, and relational issues. Now, most people never try to get help or improve anything in their lives unless it involves a relational issue. In other words, unless a relationship is affected. It might be husband-wife, parent-child, or even boss-employee. And so when they seek help, they just want those relationships fixed. And most of the help that they get is relational. It might be something like learning how to communicate better. And it might even help for a time. The problem is that most relational issues come from personal issues, and most personal issues come from spiritual issues. If you're not getting help and balance in all three areas, it's temporary help at best. Well, it was out of this difficulty that the vows for husbands and wives was born. For years, I tried to articulate, frankly with little success, how to live in balance in those areas. It was especially hard for men to grasp. I mean, they would say to me, "Pastor, I understand conceptually that I'm the spiritual leader and that it's my responsibility, but I need practical instruction on how to do it. What does it really mean to be a husband?" Well, I had a difficult time teaching that in the context of those three issues. Then several years ago, something happened that gave me some answers. I was studying late one night, and it suddenly occurred to me that the next day was my 37th wedding anniversary, and I hadn't even so much as gotten my wife a card. I wasn't that worried about it because after that many years of marriage, neither of us were really into big productions on those kinds of occasions. But I wanted to do something, and there weren't a lot of stores open at 2 o'clock in the morning. So I decided that I would write her a nice letter. Well, as I began to write, I was articulating my regret over my failures as a husband and my desire to do better, when I suddenly stopped with this thought: that "I'm sorry, I'll do better" line was really getting old. How was I going to do better? What was going to be different this time? Well, I began to ponder what it really meant to be a husband. You know, it wasn't so much about what I was doing wrong, it's that I didn't know what to do right. After a lot of contemplation, I ended up making her a promise in the form of some vows. It only took about 15 minutes to write the letter, but as I read it out loud, I was stunned. There it was, a clear articulation of what it means to be a husband. There was 9 vows. I noticed that there was 3 related to spiritual issues, and 3 related to personal issues, and 3 related to relational issues. And I hadn't done that intentionally. This was clearly inspired by God. But now my heart was filled with panic. There was no way I was going to give this to my wife. First, because there was no way she was going to believe it. I had made and broken way too many promises. But second, because I wouldn't blame her for not believing it. I didn't believe it myself. There's no way I could be the husband described in those vows. Well, after a lot of struggle and debate with God, I finally agreed to give it to her, but with this added message. I wrote, "This gift is wrapped in grace and mercy and is intended to be unwrapped a little more each day until 1 year from today, you can have the man and the husband that God intended for you to have. And then in big red letters I wrote, fragile, open with care. Well, that's how it started. Over the next several years, through much prayer and thought, I was able to put together the corresponding vows for wives. In the course of my research, I had come to realize that both sets of vows were close paraphrases of several passages of Scripture. So I believe that if you'll live out these vows, you're simply obeying Scripture. Now, remember that the 90-day challenge is designed to get you started on your journey to becoming the husbands and wives that God intended for you to be. But you'll never fully live out these vows outside of the context of the 15 values that I teach in Living That Matters. So go to livingthatmatters.com to be in that journey. You know, in the course of a lifetime, 90 days is not very long. In the scheme of 1 year, 90 days is 1/4 of your life. But in the scheme of our busy, instant gratification-oriented lifestyle, 90 days can seem like forever. But let's be honest, a bad marriage can seem like worse than forever. So I hope that you're up for the challenge. Here's how it works. The first 4 weeks of the 90-day challenge is all about saturation. I want you to print up a bunch of copies of the vows and put them everywhere. Put them in your pocket. Hang them on the refrigerator or on your bathroom mirror. Tape it to your steering wheel or your dashboard. Put it on your desk or your toolbox at work. Put them everywhere. To get a copy of the vows, go to livingthatmatters.com and under the Resources tab, click on Downloads and then download the vows. Now you're ready for the 90-day challenge. To find out what to do next, if you're on YouTube, then click on the link for the 90-day challenge Part 2 in the description box below. If you're on our website, then just click on the next video that's entitled The 90-Day Challenge Part 2. God bless you. I'm Pastor Sam Lewis for Living That Matters.